Okay, so boys and girls, let's go ahead and take out our trackers. Got your pencils? We're going to go ahead and do our morning inventory. So let's turn to the first page. It should be yellow. Okay, so let's think about what our feelings are this morning. How are you feeling? You woke up, opened your eyes. How'd you feel when you woke up this morning? How'd you feel when you walked into the building? Remember, there's no right or wrong. With your feelings, there's the green, the yellow, the red. We just want you to be honest. Now, as far as your sleep goes, think about what time you went to bed last night. And then think about what time you woke up. How many hours was that? Do your calculations using the number line. And then mark down how many hours you slept. Does anyone here feel like they've had a nice night's sleep? They got enough hours of sleep? Nicole, good. All right, Brittany, nice, good. Okay, so now we're moving on to breakfast. We know that's an important part of our day to be successful. We've talked about what a green breakfast would be, yellow, red. So think about what you had. If it was like a protein and a carbohydrate, maybe some whole grain, that's a green breakfast. Okay, got Fruit Loops and Pepsi? Probably not. So something I think my students have gotten a lot from has been the requirement for them to stop and think about themselves. How am I doing? Did I sleep? What did I have for breakfast? It's something that really everyone should do to improve themselves. But I think what I saw in the classroom was kids were talking with each other about how much sleep they got and comparing breakfasts in a way. And I just noticed that mindfulness increased and also amongst each other too. It was kind of fun. Check the box if you've got your homework here with you. Check the box if you have your materials here. So for today, you guys, we're going to be filling in the top 5 little categories for our skills practice. These are the parts of the day where we're going to be checking in with ourselves, okay? See how we're doing with paying attention and focusing on the task. The first little box, let's go ahead and put morning task. So for the end of morning task, that's when we're going to do our first check-in with our skills. The next part of the day where we're going to do a check-in is at the end of whole group reading. So our 5 categories for the day: morning task, whole group reading, library, math, and letter writing. Are those the only 5 things we're going to do in our day? No. But those are the 5 times we're going to check in with ourselves. There has been an impact on their level of engagement academically during class because they're responsible to themselves with their self-evaluation throughout the day. They had to be aware that soon they're going to track themselves. In the end of this math class, I'm going to be marking down how I'm doing. It really increases the demand for being conscious of what they're doing during class. So boys and girls, remember we talked about how the best answer is the honest answer when it comes to filling out your tracker. This is for you to track your behavior and your improvement over time. It isn't about being right or wrong. It's about your growth. And it's a chance for you to think about how you're doing throughout the day. Being honest about how focused you are helps you get better every time you practice. But if we're not honest with ourselves, we're never going to get better. So it's okay. You're safe to put a red if it's a red kind of day, if it's a yellow kind of day, if it's a green kind of day. It's all good. What we're asking you to do is to think about your choices and to think about your behavior throughout your day. It applies to your whole life.
One thing I've learned from the tracker is it's okay to be honest with yourself, because before doing the tracker, when I've had to do stuff like that and track yourself, I used to just put higher scores or something like that because it just made you feel better. But by doing the tracker, I've noticed to not put higher scores and actually be honest with yourself.
Once I started using the tracker in the classroom, it really kind of required me to be very conscious about, okay, this hour, this is what we're focusing on. I mean, I do that as a teacher anyway, but to see the kids as engaged with monitoring themselves has been wonderful. It's kind of taken a little bit of the load off me, putting it on them, and they're 10, 11 years old, they can do that. And so it's really a nice structured, embedded system that really does improve their level of engagement, not just during what the instruction is about, but also just themselves as a learner. They're really paying attention to themselves as a learner. Think about all the things that you're involved in your life, in school and out. And I want you to think about something you want to get better at. What would that be? Anything. Jaden.
Violin.
All right. Will, how about you?
Guitar,
Okay. Grant?
football and basketball,
Okay. Casey?
Writing,
Excellent. Kylie?
reading,
Oh, all right, good. All the things that you just shared with me that you want to get better at, you can. And what did we learn from the video that told us that that is possible? Nicole?
that we can get better with practice.
We have to practice. Lydia, how about you?
That kids have more neural connections than adults do, so that through practice they can strengthen those neural connections.
Yeah, kids do have more connections than adults do. That's good. So you practice, you increase the number of neural connections. Very good. Christopher?
If you don't practice your neural connections now, that they'll die off, and when you're older, you won't be able to use them.
Very true. Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So let's take a look at the skills that are listed in our trackers. And can anyone identify one of these skills that could help them get better at something they want to get better at? Jaden?
If I focus on the task, I'll know when to play the right notes.
True. Good job. Can anybody else identify a skill in your tracker that can help you get better at something that you're interested in? Grant?
Well, I know if I pay attention during my football and basketball practices that I can get better because I know the plays, and in games it'll help me do better.
Excellent. Good job. Very specific too. We've got focus on the task, paying attention. Any other skills that you notice, hey, if I really employ this skill, I'm going to get better at what I'm interested in? Riley?
If you follow the class expectations, that basically includes every other skill in the tracker.
Excellent. Good job. Aspen?
If I get along with my teammates on my soccer team, we can play better together on the field.
Good point. So can we all agree that every single skill in this tracker helps? There isn't one that doesn't help us get better, because we know if we keep practicing, we're going to increase those neural connections and we're going to get better at what we want to get better at. I think what's beautiful about it is it does help the kids accept and feel comfortable with the fact that they're learners. They're not expected to be perfect walking in the door. It isn't a performance. It's learning and practice and growing and trying it again and practicing it again and repeating positive practice. And so I think that can't do anything but support their overall life and their overall learning and their attitudes about themselves as a learner too. Whether it's, in this classroom in this seat, classifying triangles to being, trying to shoot three-pointers out on the playground. So I think all of it, if they start to take on a mindset of, I am a learner, versus I need to perform and be perfect, it's amazing what can happen.
I learned that nobody's born being good at something, and if you practice enough, you can be as good as other people.
I learned that focusing on the task during math helps you answer more problems and get better grades.
I've been getting more and more sleep every night, and I've been eating healthier breakfasts in the morning.
I learned that if I eat a healthier breakfast and then I go to sleep earlier, that I will feel better in the morning.
I've learned that if you be honest with yourself, then you can get better at other things that you do.
Something I learned was I got more self-confidence in myself, and I've been going to bed earlier.
I learned to be honest with myself in sections instead of just overall over the entire day, so I'm not saying I didn't do anything today at school.
I've learned that with the end of the day inventory, it makes you think about what you did that day. And then when I go home, before we did the tracker, my mom asked me, how was your day? And I say, okay, see you later. So now I actually have something to talk about.
The conversations we've had in class with regards to learning how to use the tracker and paying attention to sleep, paying attention to breakfast, mood, our emotional state, all of that is so smart because they walk in the door with so much, coming in from their homes, and all of that plays a part into their day. And the thing about the tracker system is that it can be very empowering on a personal level for each student. It's their own tracking of their own behavior. They feel a safety knowing there's no competition or scoring or anything like that. And with that knowledge comes an empowerment, I am in charge of myself, I can make choices, and I can improve my life. And that's huge.